Recommendation from Superintendent Salazar to approve the agenda as is. Any questions? Changes? So I'll need a motion for approval.
I move that we adopt the agenda.
I'll need a second. So I have a motion and a second. All members in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Welcome to everybody. It's always great to see students here. It's always exciting to recognize them, and so we're always excited to celebrate you. You're the reason why we do this. So, welcome to everybody. Approval of minutes.
Mr. President, members of the board, I recommend that you approve the minutes for the regular board meeting from February 21st, 2023.
So we have a recommendation for Superintendent Salazar to approve the regular meeting minutes from February 21st, 2023. Any questions? Modifications, changes? There are none. I'll need a motion.
I'll move to approval.
And a second.
Second.
So we have a motion and a second. All members in favor say aye.
Aye.
Passes. All right. Moving on to citizen comments. And I appreciate someone in the audience who had read the policy and recognized that the policy reads that only agenda items. This has been a back and forth between a lot of public entities. Attorneys fight back and forth whether it's appropriate or not, but it is something I think we were going to discuss anyway. So I think it's appropriate that we allow those comments to have the board address today. So we are going to allow the concerns over the SME issue. So we will start. So you get 2 minutes. We do try to maintain decorum. Like I mentioned, the students, we try to model for our students good decorum and good conduct. We will start with Norman. If you can help me, is that okay?
Yeah, actually, can I defer? I'm sorry, what was your name?
Stephanie?
Can I defer to Stephanie to go ahead of me? She's got it all laid out along the national landing.
So are you yielding your time to her?
Yes, I'm yielding my time.
Okay. Do I need to come up there? Do I stand here? Where?
Yes, ma'am. If you'll come up to the podium and say your name. We have your address.
My name is Becky Schultz. I'm a parent of 2 students at South Mountain Elementary. Just had a few questions and a few concerns about the incident that happened on Monday. The National School Board Association states that a school's goal should be to create a culture of mandatory reporting by all members of the school community, including students and parents. The culture of reporting all warning signs pointing to a threat of violence must be supported by clear, definitive policies and adequate training for those involved. Individuals must know what and to whom concerns should be reported. Those reporting must know the information that they provide will be reviewed, investigated, and acted upon promptly and effectively. So my question is, does the district have a system in place for individuals, including parents, to report the threat? Are there individuals aware of the system and how to utilize it? And what policies are in place to govern the school district on what to do once there is a report of a hostile threat?
So just, do you want to answer the
No.
We won't be answering questions directly. So we will take your information and so that there won't be back and forth. So don't think we're ignoring you.
Okay.
I'm writing notes down. We know who you are, so we get back to you. Okay.
Sounds good. All right. And then sticking around there. All right. All right. So I had a brief concern on how this situation was handled on Monday. If the school is concerned enough to call a shelter in place, which I am excited that they did, and concerned enough to call 911, which again I'm thankful they did. I'm not entirely sure why students were released before 911 was there to deal with the issue. I feel like they should have still remained shelter in place until 911 had dealt with whatever issue had arisen. And then I'm also feeling a little defeated as a parent at the lack of communication from the school district and the lack of transparency. Why was 911 called? What was the first thing the caller said to the 911 dispatcher? We're working on getting the 911 transcripts because it's a public record. But I imagine there was a safety issue regarding the fact that the student was roaming the halls, vandalizing the property, showing aggression, or threatening to kill someone. If that's the case, 911 was not called for a medical issue. It was called because the student was a safety risk to himself or others. I feel like downplaying it to a medical issue is omitting facts. Yes, he has a medical condition, but the district was not calling 911 for medical aid. It was calling 911 because the so-called medical issue was posing a safety risk. I have also heard administration get frustrated with the issue, stating that if police hadn't shown up, parents wouldn't even know the issue occurred. That breaks my heart that there was a big enough risk to my child for the principal to call shelter in place, but not enough respect to let parents know what is happening at my school. I have serious issues trusting the district to keep my child safe when I feel as though I cannot trust them to be honest with me. I do not want to be disrespectful here, however, I feel the need to point out these are my children, not the district's. I am entrusting the district with my greatest treasure. I feel completely disrespected as a parent with the honor that I've given the district in trusting my children. I want to know what policies the district has in place to communicate with parents, and if there will be any changes with that policy.
Thank you.
Thank you. William Refill?
I can go. Thank you. Good evening. My name is William Neufeld. I have two children at South Mountain Elementary. There's a lot of people who have lots to say about the topic. I'm just also concerned about the safety of my children at the school and how this recent situation was handled. There's a lot of different points to talk about and discuss or to investigate through. But just updates on policies or how situations from here forward could best be handled or what is going, some changes need to be made apparently, and just what those changes look like and how we're going to carry them through to provide safety and good education for all students, because we all agree that all students have the basic right to an education, but some environments aren't exactly the best for all students. So there's issues to address and how we can move forward that benefits everyone.
Thank you. Heather Curlis.
Hello, I'm Heather Curlin. I just wanted to talk about this situation as well after South Mountain Elementary. First off, I would like to begin with what action is the district taking in protecting our children from the students. We all want to help, but there needs to be a plan in place. Some suggestions. Not letting him bring anything back and forth from school. This helps eliminate some of the risks of him bringing a weapon to school or on the bus. Having staff check his pockets before entering the building to ensure he didn't try to sneak a weapon on campus. Not integrating him to general ed until that aggravation is under control. When integrating him into general ed, there needs to be one-on-one teacher with him. Have emergency plans in place that handle that aggression when it escalates into general ed classrooms. There need to be a current plan in place as well. This student should not be allowed to roam the halls freely, should not be allowed to vandalize property, and should not be allowed to threaten others. According to the police report, this student struggles with mental illness. I am sure that is rough for him, his family, and the staff that is dealing with him. However, it is no excuse to put our students' education and our safety at risk. If the same student did not suffer from the mental illness and instead had a different medical illness, would these actions still be permitted? For example, if this was a student with a seizure disorder, would you be allowing the same behavior? At what point would the district draw a line to say the student's actions are unacceptable and will not be tolerated? If making a threat to kill someone and vandalizing school property are accepted because he has a mental illness, when does the line get drawn? When we have a school shooting? When will he hurt somebody? When he brings a weapon to school? When he breaks the law? At what point has the district determined the actions to be unacceptable regarding the mental illness? In the district's elementary school handbook, it lists vandalism as a delinquent act. Delinquent acts are classified as acts which are against the law for juveniles. So he has already broken laws.
That's your 2 minutes. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
So Deborah Brennan.
Good evening. I'm coming back here, South Mountain School to Deborah Brennan, Edgewood, New Mexico. My heart goes out to the child and his family. Dealing with mental and behavioral issues is not easy, and it appears they are trying to help him. But in these situations, it does take a lot of support for all involved. I believe that the school districts are trying to assist every single student and their individual needs. With that said, I am not certain that we are doing right by any of our students. These students occasionally need more attention and time. How does this affect our other students? The shelter-in-place incidents, which seem to be happening on a regular occurrence, are for the safety of all, but at what cost to the psyche of the other students? Are they becoming desensitized to a threat so that if and when, God forbid, there is a significant threat, that they do not take it seriously? How are these interruptions affecting their studies? It can't be good. This is a huge conundrum. If they are separated by classrooms but play and eat together, when there's an incident, what policies are in place to protect all the children? Hopefully it is not a gun, but rocks, playground equipment, sports equipment, even hands and feet can all be used to hurt someone. I don't believe that totally separating the children is the right answer, but I am certain that the parents and the children do want to be safe. What is it that you need to make these safeguards possible for each and every child? I think we are all willing to help brainstorm ideas, but the responsibility ultimately falls onto you to provide the answers to these questions for the parents and the community. When these situations arise, it is definitely your responsibility to answer to the parents an explanation of what happened. For them to feel that they were dismissed and their fears were irrelevant was a disgrace. For them to have to get a police report just to get the answers they needed was shameful.
Thank you. Thank you. I believe this is it Caitlin Parrish? Catalina, okay.
Thank you. Appreciate the opportunity to speak. My family's new to the school district this year, and I've gone through the volunteer training, and I consider myself a very active parent, very involved in South Mountain Elementary. I first want to say I very much appreciate the principal and the staff of the school, and every day when I hand my children off to them, I do know they're doing their very best to provide a wonderful education and also treat them as if they were their own children, and they demonstrate this every single day. But I have to tell you, I am completely shaken to the core several days after what I experienced on Monday. You can only imagine a parent's worst nightmare. I'm the parent that gets there 45 minutes or earlier in line to pick up my children because I connect my laptop and do my work while I'm waiting to pick them up so they don't have to wait very long. And everybody knows me well because I greet them, I volunteer. When the nurse calls me, I provide socks or underwear. Anytime there's a student in need, I say, call me first. I will immediately rush out. Jackets, coats, whatnot. I'm a parent who you want in your school system. I'm a parent who's very involved, who's caring towards every child. And God knows my heart goes out to the child and the family and families. Because we don't know that it's just one, because of course there's limited information. But my heart goes out to them, and I want to do whatever I can, of course, to assist anyone in my community, and particularly our elementary school, but not at the expense of my own children's education, okay? What I am witnessing as a child who's as a parent who regularly volunteers at the school, is this is not an isolated incident. And while this incident was much more profound, witnessing police running in with drawn guns and automatic weapons at some point was absolutely terrifying to me, and I'm still shaking from what I experienced running to get my children because, of course, I had no idea what was going on, as did any of the parents that were there that day. There are other parents I've spoken to who had their children out sick and simply read the messages that came from the school that said, oh, there was a health incident, and they all perceived the message to believe that the person maybe was having a seizure and had absolutely no clue of what was really going on. I too have obtained a police report. What's most disturbing to me is that when I go in to ask questions and answers, the principal is lovely and she's more than willing to meet with everyone. But it's just that I'm getting such disinformation. And without trust, I'm sorry, I'm so concerned.
Thank you. Yep, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right. I really appreciate your comments. Very helpful. We will probably address some of this here shortly. But we're moving on to
We
superintendent.
appreciate the concerns too. Thank you.
Very much so. Superintendent board comments and accommodations. Student staff recognition.
Yes, we've got some recognitions tonight. Mr. Anaya, I always call him the coach, so come up and let's recognize your kiddos.
Good evening, President Armijo, members of the board, Superintendent Salazar. We want to recognize some of our students here tonight. I want to start off with our athletes that made it to the state wrestling tournament. And to introduce them, we have our coaches, Coach Brenda Gonzalez, and Coach Timmy. They want to come up and talk about their athletes.
How are you guys?
How are you?
What is going on? Okay, so good. So I'm Coach Means. I'm with the boys wrestling team. Coach Brenda's the head coach of the girls team. All in all, we're one team. We practice in the same room. We haven't wanted our room to be broken up, so we've outgrown our room and moved to the third court basketball court, the practice facility. We moved two mats every day to allow. I think we had 40 kids in our team photo this year. We're missing a good handful. I think we assessed 55 kids this year. This is our third season, and we're up from 18 kids. I think we had 18 kids our first season. So I'm constantly scrounging the halls and recruiting kids through letters, get to know a kid individually. Try to find a way to help them build goals if they have bad grades or whatever's going on. We didn't compete quite as well as we wanted to do. Last season we were district champs for the boys. We took fourth this year based on we lost some points, some emotions got out of hand, threw a headgear, lost a team point. But we don't have a lack of effort in our valley. I've been out here my entire life. I think this is my 35th year here. Coach Bibiano was a coach for me. So, I could be more proud of our kids, but right now, you want to call the girls and the boys? Go ahead.
Okay, this year we took, how many girls? I'm not prepared. We took 5 girls to state. At 100 pounds, we had Miss Jolie Chavez. Jolie was state runner-up last year. She was regional champ last year and this year. We didn't do as well as we wanted at state, but she did end up getting 5th this year. So, at 114 pounds, we had our 8th grader, Miss Lily Means. This was Lily's first year wrestling, and she did very well. She ended up getting 3rd at regionals. And the girl that she beat for 3rd at regionals, she got to face for 3rd again at state, and the girl beat her for 3rd. But Lily did get 4th place, and I'm excited to see her grow in the next 4 years. At 120 pounds, we have Christina Means. Christina started out strong this season and then was playing basketball with some friends and ended up spraining her ankle, and then she just re-rolled it again yesterday or the day before. So she was able to make it back in time for regionals. She ended up qualifying for regionals, and she was, I believe, 1 match short for placing at state, but she got her confidence up once we told her, don't worry about getting hurt, just go out and wrestle your heart out. And she, I'm excited to see what she can do in the next 3 years. So. At 126 pounds, we have Miss Mackenzie Butler. This was Mackenzie's first year wrestling. She's a junior, and she is so strong. She's mentally tough. She has a little rib issue, but she would suck it up and keep going and tell me, Coach, no, I'm good. But Mackenzie, she had a very strong season. She did start at 120, but her and Christina had wrestled off at 120 for regionals, so she ended up having to move up to 126. But this girl does not complain, and she's strong, and I'm excited to see what she can do her senior year. At 185, we have Miss Lydia Gabaldon. She lost half of her pants on her way here. Miss Lydia, her very first wrestling match, first tournament, her knee popped out and she was having issues with it all season long, but she was able to come back, I think, a little bit after, like in middle June or July. January. And she was able to stay strong and stay put together. She was doing physical therapy and everything. She ended up getting, what'd you get at regionals? Do you remember? Fifth? Yeah. I think she ended up getting fifth at regionals, and then she ended up getting, she wrestled tough at state and ended up getting fifth at state also. So she's a sophomore, and I'm excited to see what she can do the next couple of years. She's wrestling this summer to improve and get some more mat time, so I'm excited for her.
So ladies, if you will smile for the camera over here.
Okay, so we had 6 boys qualify for state this year, and it was a little bit different because the girls have had to qualify for state through a regional tournament, north and the south, and the north region is flat out scrappy. It's one of the toughest tournaments in the state by far. Last year, I think they took the top 8 girls to state, and it was fireworks right out the gate. This year, they took 8 girls from each region, threw them in, so you were seeing the best of the best. They had boys do the same thing this year. We eliminated, or we voted out individual district titles based on teams in the South, like Silver City, who are a tough squad. They're getting forfeits all the way to district titles, and they're qualifying entire teams. So this is the first year the boys had the regional tournament, and again, it was dog fights from the very beginning. We have Bruno Voqueta. He's not here today. We have a bunch of kids that do extra sports, such as, even up here we have softball and track and wrestling happening all in season. So Bruno's gone on with soccer right now, doing that. We have Caden Camplain, who's with baseball. He qualified for state. We have John Feldez. Come on up, John. John was 3rd in state last year and 2nd this year, and he lost 4-2 in the finals versus Benavides from Bloomfield, and rightfully so. I think the guy's 88-0 in his last 2 years. If you look at the guy's paperwork with Benavides, he's going to Kent State to finish out his wrestling career in college. And by far, John was his hardest competition. There was one other kid in 42 matches that Benavides had that he either blew him out, teched him, or pinned him. And John gave the dude a run for his money, and arguably was his match to lose. Got away at the end, and not going to be more proud of John. He has beautiful hair, and he's one of my favorite guys in the room because John shows up, does the work, and doesn't look for any excuses. He shows up and gets after it, and I couldn't be more proud of the young man. I've been working with him since he's a freshman, and unfortunately he's going to be a senior. And unfortunately for me, when I say that, you catch friendships with all the kids, and you watch them work and want to watch them succeed. So he'll be back as a senior, and easily could be the #1 seed at his weight class in the state. Then we move on to we have David Vitamontes. He was at 172. His first year wrestling, he qualified at regionals. Let me back up. John was actually in regionals, wound up placing 5th, 6th. Got sick at regionals, didn't do as well. I wanted to pull him out. He talked me into toughing it out. Coach Gary Padilla, they talked us into letting him go. Didn't make any excuses when he didn't get the job done the way he wanted, but then turned around the following week, fought his butt off, and again, couldn't be more proud of him. we moved to David. David was a first-year senior, came out to wrestle, and we had a handful of these guys. Wrestling's not easy. You get to compete with your team, and we all put in sweat and tears together, and we bleed and lumps on our head, and we prepare as a team, and then you have to find yourself on that mat. It's an individual sport. You build confidence for yourself, and to watch these kids come out of shyness and insecurities or whatever, and at the end of the year we have young men that barely talked in the group, or even young ladies, and they're cracking jokes and high-fiving and hugging and all that. It's cool to see the confidence come out of our group. But another young man would be my nephew, and Amari Gonzalez. He wound up taking 6th to state also at 189 pounds. He should be wrestling a weight down, but he's a hard head and like soda pop. He got hurt at Districts 2, wrestled with a rib problem. He placed 6th last year and didn't place this year, but didn't make any excuses. Went out and fought his butt off. Showed grit, determination, and just couldn't be more proud of him. We have a senior in Royal Page. I'm not sure where he went. He was one round away from placing and qualifying, and came a few points short to qualify for state. But Royal's an excellent young man, hard worker, helper in the room, and couldn't be more proud of him and where he's going here in the future. So. I got to jump all the way back down to my early weights in Caleb Gustafson back here. Kid's a freshman this year. He had over 30 wins on the season. Met some really, really tough kids. Started out the season real tough, pinned Landon from Espanola, who I think Landon Wednesday to take 2 this year, take number 2 again. Pinned a senior as a freshman, and was just in some really, really tough matches. Another young man that doesn't have no quit in his heart, and just doesn't make any excuses, shows up, does the work in the room, and doesn't complain at all. And when we're talking to our kids, you have Coach Gary Padilla, you have Coach Tim Gustafson, we have Coach Josh Camplain, Coach Dominic Jaramillo, Coach Logan King, who's with our junior program. We have 24 kids regularly showing up to our kids program. And something I try to tell everyone in our room, when our season ends, another season begins, and our kids that are in our districts are already wrestling in nationals, they're wrestling in local tournaments here. We'll be taking the girls, some of the girls up to Rocky Mountain Nationals in Nevada. My girls will be going to a college camp in Colorado Mesa. You can't slack on this sport. You have to stay active or we get behind. So where we're wrestling right now, where our season ended, we've asked for 1 to 3 hours a week after for our kids at 6 o'clock to 7:30. At least one tournament in the summer, and we have a handful of kids that have a couple tournaments already done. You have to have these hours done because these kids in our district, in our program, or in our state are going to have 30, 40 matches wrestled as we go into season in November. That's a timing thing. So our brand new kids are trying to play catch up. Our seniors are tough and athletic, but they're not realizing that these kids have been wrestling since they were 5, and they have 30 matches on their record by the time our season starts. So as I talk to everyone here, everyone's in our room, everyone's coming and putting the work in, even if they're in other sports or 2 other sports. I couldn't be more proud of our group. Back there in the back, everybody will look right now, the guy with the Jordan shirt, that's Jacob. Jacob's figuring out. Jacob's figuring out how to put things together himself. He didn't complain about his work this year, but he did try to avoid it. He'd suck it up and get it done when you get on him. But overall, he showed up every day. So couldn't be more proud of him. This is our team from this year. Where is Angel? Oh, Angel, come on up here. Come on, Angel. So Angel was a first-year senior as well. He had a very, very tough weight class, but never complained either. Didn't get the record he wanted exactly. We didn't get qualified for state, but he never complained, wrestled through injuries. His brother was on our team as well, or is on our team. He wound up breaking his leg in Ruidoso in a match. We just got done with Vivian, got called. Coach Brenda had to handle the flight from up there to get here. Things happen in wrestling. Things happen when we go to work. Things happen. So the way our group showed up together, fought together, picked each other up when we were down, We had 50 kids in the room, and I couldn't be more proud of them. And one of our up-and-comers back here is Brian Padilla right here. The kid looks awfully nice, but he's meaner than an alley cat, and a very, very good young man. So our program is producing confident, young, hardworking ladies and gentlemen here, or women and men, whatever you want to look at them. Except for Lily, she's meaner than heck. But I couldn't be more proud. We work hard to be in the room. We have 7 coaches in the room. From having to grab snacks from Sam's to setting our practices up. Coach Brenda's outstanding with all the paperwork and making sure I sign what I need to sign. Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, Brenda.
Thanks, Brenda. We do a lot chasing the kids around, and the kids give back, so I couldn't be more proud of them. And I've said that I don't know how many times, but it's the truth. A lot of sleepless nights, a lot of early mornings, making sure we're on weight. And that's the other thing, by the way. We don't cut weight. We eat, we hydrate. If we lose weight naturally, cool. Unless you're Jolie. And Jolie wants to lose 5 pounds in a day.
Every time?
But we send out literature on how to hydrate, how to fuel, nutrition. We don't do it by not eating and not drinking. We don't get the job done like that. So this is a good group. And again, we're going to lose some of them, but they have lasting impressions in my heart forever. This is our team. Thank you.
Nice try.
The Naval Academy? You're attending. What are you doing? Coming up? What'd you have a letter written for?
They're going to recognize them in a little bit.
Oh, I'm going to be quiet.
Somebody else can talk.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
We really are proud of our wrestling program and our wrestling coaches. 2 top coaches in the state of New Mexico, hands down. Our next program that we want to welcome that made it to the state tournament this year is our girls basketball, coached by Janet Babeskis. Her first year she made it to the state tournament. Janet
They're coming up here in a second. So, first, I just wanted to thank Coach Anaya and really the community for this opportunity. Like I tell people all the time, I feel this is 25 years in the making. When we were even state in '97, like I was a second grader, but like I knew I wanted to be a Pinto and wanted to be a Pinto for life. So I love this community. I'm so excited to serve this community in this position. It was our first year, so now I'm gonna call you guys come up here with me. This is my group of seniors. We have Sophia Matas, Jade Anaya, Leslie Marino, Anissa Chavez, and she's our manager, but she is part of us, Brandy Massey. We were 16-12 on the season, so a good winning season. We came second in district, made it all the way back through the tournament to this district championship, played Los Alamos. Los Alamos had beat us by 30 plus, both times we met them before. And we made them earn the district championship. We led by 12 at half and lost by 4 in overtime. We were seeded 12 going into the state tournament. Went and played at Artesia. Battled through the first half. We got down 21 in the third quarter. And just, you can't question the heart and the champion in these kids. We battled back. I remember looking at the scoreboard. We were down 6. I told her this multiple times. I think Sophie said, I'm going to put you guys on my back. I'm going to carry you through that. We're not losing this game. Ended up losing by 4. But like I said, you can't question the heart in these girls. So let's see. They have a lot of accolades that they know about some, don't know about all of them. Sophie is a first team all-district player. Anissa is a first team all-district player. Also second place in votes for player of the year of the district. Anissa is also representing us in the red-green game this weekend for one of the 24 best in 3A and 4A. Leslie is an all-metro scholar athlete, and they are all part of the all-district, all-academic team as well. I'm most proud about, has nothing to do with actually winning or playing games, is they all gave up their Saturdays most of January and February to run our future Pintos leagues at all the elementary schools. So we're really trying to bring back basketball to the elementary schools, and these girls gave up their Saturdays to coach those kids. And really, we had a little Pintos night at one of our games, and you could just see the joy and the excitement of Pinto basketball in the future. So.
While they're getting their picture taken, I want to share that the superintendent from Artesia actually contacted me the next day after the game and was so complimentary of our girls and the amazing job that they had done and the heart that they had and good sportsmanship. And so you should be very proud of yourself. And Coach, you should be very proud of your whole team. So I know that we are, as a district, proud of you. So thank you for representing us well. Congratulations.
Thank you, Coach.
And I actually gave the wrong title, so this was my mistake. It's not a basketball scholarship, it is an MMA scholarship, so if you will please introduce those.
So not only do we have the hardest working kids on the football field, on the baseball field, in the math rooms, on the basketball courts, we also have the hardest working kids in the classrooms. Out of 45 NMA awarded scholarships, we got 4 of them throughout the entire state of New Mexico. So that's pretty good. I want to introduce the ones that did receive scholarships. This is a new scholarship called the Together We Rise Scholarship. Started right after COVID for the name Together We Rise. It's getting kids through tough times. Sophia Matis and Matthew Romero. Being awarded the Trade and Technical School Scholarship, Angel Almento Torres. And when it's due to this school, Pedro Mateo Sandoval Strong Family Scholarship went to Will Page.
And these 4 students were recognized during the state basketball tournament during different halftimes of the games throughout the weekend. So it was very exciting going to the pit and watching our kiddos be presented with their awards. And are each of them the same amount?
No, Together We Rise and the Trade Technical is $1,000 each, I believe, and the Pedro Mateo Sandoval Strong is $1,500 each. Congratulations, you guys.
Very proud of you guys. Thank you very much. We appreciate you coming on the school night. It's almost spring break, Coach. Surely they can almost break. That's it. Thank you very much. Our MHS Student Council representative is not going to be here tonight. She's entrenched in the, whatever we call it this week, Sweetheart Week. There's lots of activities going on. So she will report on all of those activities and how they took place in April at our April board meeting. Thanks, guys. We'll let them get out. Good job, Jenny. Parents and broadcast, thank you so much. We appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. I can imagine the rest like, oh my gosh. That is such a, and then they put your weight on your shirt. That would be me, Brenda. I need 3 questions. Depends on what day of the week it is. Yeah, plus or minus.
I always appreciate our student athletes. You're good. I think the new principals have that.
Yes, and so we have 2 principals that aren't here. If you have questions for them, we can contact them afterwards. Ms. Chavez Boston, had an appointment that was time sensitive that she couldn't change with a change of the board meeting, so she's out of town. And then Mr. Mitchell is not feeling well tonight. So that the rest of them are yours. Ask them anything you want.
So we have any questions for principals?
I just wanted to make a comment about MES and the STEAM night. Very well attended. And you had the science fair?
We did. So we had each class prepare a science fair project, and then we had those on display in the library for parents and students to visit. We also had the planetarium there that evening. We had telescopes and bus pad. We had lots of different stations and activities that our teachers had for students to build boats and estimate what it would take to sink them, and build 3D shapes out of popsicle sticks, and just lots of different STEAM activities, lots of art. Our art teacher did space-related art with each of the classes, and so we had over 425 students' individual artworks on display. So it was a really good night.
Thanks for sharing.
Yeah, I just wanted to say thank you to Catherine, Miss Hilton, and Sarah Apple. I was able to go and read to the preschoolers, and it was just really neat to see the kids and how excited they were, and it was an honor to be there and be invited to come in. So thank you. Great job with the kids too.
Thank you.
If not, I was just curious. I wanted to get a little more information on the positive solutions for families at the preschool. Ms. Cutler?
Positive Solutions for Families goes along with our pyramid model framework. That's what we do for our positive behavior supports and interventions. And what it is it's a 6-week-long family class. It's a workshop. Last time I taught it was kind of a support group, but it's for families that might be dealing with difficult behaviors in their home. And what we do, it's helping families learn through, or teach their kids through play with questioning strategies and building routines and just supporting positive behaviors and parenting behaviors.
Good. Thank you.
If anybody wants to go, I have more information.
Any other questions for principals?
I did have one more. So, Mr. G, I was just going to ask about the kindergarten promotion is at the same time at the one school as it is at South Mountain?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there?
We offered, we had one parent call that has one at each, so we offered to live stream it for them and record it. So if they wanted, they could pick where they wanted to go. I had moved the date for some other requests, so it just, I didn't check with Rhiannon, so I apologize on that part, but it was just, it was asked to be moved, so I moved it.
Yeah, right.
Checking with her.
Yeah. So you think you have it worked out then?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. If no further questions, I think we'll move on to Board President, Board of Education. Guys, got any comments, questions?
I guess I wanted to just comment that I'm grateful that these people came tonight to talk to us and tell us their concerns, and they did not fall on deaf ears. And I thank you for coming and sharing those with us, for sure. Thank you.
I would definitely echo that. I think that many hours do go into training, and so, as a board, we're not necessarily always present for that type of thing, but you're aware and receive training through the School Boards Association. They provide training to boards to at least be aware of what procedures and protocols would be considered, I would say, industry standards. So we do have a general knowledge, but I would say that, the biggest part of that is entrusted into, further training that our staff goes through. But it definitely did not, some of the concerns you brought up are definitely not falling on deaf ears. I think there's much to learn. I mean, there's definitely things to learn. And I know as a board we will follow through. We also don't know a lot of the details, And there's logistics, legal logistics that prevent us from having every single detail as well. There's so many laws, but also regulations that prevent information being shared in fine detail with boards. But I trust that, you took plenty of notes. I saw you take plenty of notes. And so I know that it is not falling on deaf ears as well. And we will definitely follow through and follow up with your concerns. I do know that the district has continued to hone in on improving what we call our ERT team. It's a collaboration between law enforcement agencies and other agencies beyond law enforcement to help provide a more cohesive, fluid procedure, beyond the district. We're at the mercy of the procedures of law enforcement as well. So we try to work in sync and in tune. And I know Mr. Regano has worked really hard with that. I keep waiting. It's nothing you ever want to have to do, but you have to be prepared. And I really hope that we will learn definitely from it. And communication is key. I think your concerns for communication are going to be heard. I would ask, I may myself reach out to some of you as the process moves forward, or if you all feel, I think it might be good just as we brainstorm and kick stuff around it, but maybe we reach out to maybe get some ideas outside of what we may have been trained on as well. So.
And I'd like to add that last summer we did we meet as a board and have a board retreat with our admin and sit down and talk about goals that we have for the district and moving forward. And one of those goals was to communicate and set up our security plan more firmly with the different police entities, which has proven over the years to be difficult to work with. Not for the school district to work with one, but with the different police forces working with each other. It has been an issue. I feel like we've made some strong gains through the committee that we started. And do we have parents on that committee also? Do you know, Mr. Vivian? No? Okay. I know at one point we had, I believe Rob Adams had headed up a committee where we did have some parents. At high school, we tried to get input from that. Didn't get a whole lot of interest. It was kind of rough. But we restarted everything last summer, got things going again, especially after COVID, and coming up with our plans for the district and each school site and how that looks. And unfortunately, sometimes that communication doesn't get out the way you wanted it to. And I believe Ms. Salazar is going to maybe elaborate a little bit on that in her report. So
I can do that right now.
That would be amazing.
I can't elaborate much. But first of all, I want to thank the parents that are here. I really appreciate you coming out. I know you have homework to do, dinner, bath time, so it's kind of like I appreciate it. I know it's an effort. It is just as frustrating for us sometimes not being able to share with you all the information, but because of privacy rights and students' rights of privacy and what's going on with them, there's limited amount of information that we can share on that. What I can share is that we have listened to the 911 call. We have everything that the school did about the situation that was going on was right on target. And it's kind of like it was right on what was said, how it was reported. As you were talking about different entities, the call went to a dispatch that was sent to another dispatch. Then that dispatch sent out to Santa Fe police officers, the sheriff's county, Santa Fe County. Then there was, and that Santa Fe County officer tried to tell the Edgewood people that they did not need them because of what was reported on the scanner that tells them stuff, that was not correct. It was taken care of. Everybody was calm. They were walking down the hall. They did not get that message, and that's what happened. And I can only imagine. I have a grandchild that goes to South Mountain, so I can imagine how scary it is having police officers with guns drawn. Totally understand all of that. The chief of police in Edgewood has been wonderful in communicating with us. Mr. Viviano, being with ERT, has talked to him for 4 times in the last couple of days on this, and he has offered if anybody would like to call him and visit with him. We actually thought he had sent a statement to us, and we thought that was going to go out on social media, kind of explaining what happened with them, but I don't know what happened with that, but he has offered if anybody would like to visit with him. One of the things that I think that would be helpful, because we can't have outside entities and parents on our ERT teams with Mr. Viviano and Mr. Adams, because it's kind of like secret stuff. We don't want the community to know where we're going to take kids to if there is an incident, or if something's going on. Those things need to be guarded secrets, because a really diabolical person could say, well, I'm going to do this, and I know that they're going to be taken to this location, so that's what I'm going to do, a secondary something to that location. Does that kind of make sense? One of the things that I just kind of, it's been a crazy week, but thinking of up here that my team is going to love me because I haven't mentioned it to them, that it may be appropriate to have them come or have people come and train on what the legal requirements and stances are for students with IEPs and their privacy rights and all of those things, because I think that would be very beneficial to you as parents, so that you understand what we can communicate and what we can't communicate, and what every child's right is, regardless of what their disability is, and so how we have to service them by law, that we're required to do that. So I think that would be helpful to families to have that information. So we definitely have the experts in our own district that could do that. But if they, it always is better when it's, they're smarter when they come from somewhere else. So we can get someone, from the PED to come and share the information, as well as Mr. Adams. What he had done several years before COVID is trying to give parents a true understanding of what happens during an emergency, what we're doing behind the scenes, it's that whole thing of the sausage being made. You don't really want to see all the stuff going on. It just everybody needs to be in a safe place when you're all done. But helping with that and the communication, the first thing as a parent, something's happening, you're running to the school, right? Well, that just hinders your police officers getting there, your first responders getting there, adds more congestion. But it's human nature, right? It's your kid. So, those are kind of some of the things that Mr. Adams had worked with and had those conversations with. But I'm thinking that definitely would be a good first step, is helping families understand. And we can start, it should be district-wide, but we can definitely start with South Mountain. And I don't mean to hurt your feelings, Mr. Adams, but elementary principal or kids are so much cuter than your kids that their parents will come, unlike yours. So we will definitely be addressing that, but all of the other stuff that you talked about, I appreciate it, and we are listening to you. So, and I know Mr. Armijo will be reaching out to some of you. I appreciate Ms. Curlin and our conversation that we had on Monday, and you sharing with me your concerns. Thank you for that. And we have been kind of discussing the communication, what it looked like. There was no intent to cover anything up. There's nothing nefarious that was going on. There was never a child in danger. It was taking place outside the building. So we feel good about what our staff did, and they did their protocols correctly. We'll work on our communication on that. And then also continuing with ERT and the please. And again, I do have to say, bottom line is the Santa Fe County officer and the Edgewood police were Johnny on the spot. So we can feel really good about that. So if it would have been a true emergency, you can feel good that they're going to be there. And so we appreciate them, and that is what we shared with them. So
Another thing is that the way Teresa said, we take care of all the kids from K to 12. We treat them all the same, you know. They're all, everybody has a break. That's wondering how the kids do it. But we do take pride in all the kids and taking care of them well.
I think maybe just even a side conversation, you know, it's just for, I think it's important for the public, beyond even just this boardroom, to advocate for their children. Much that we have to do is directed to us, you know, in terms of policies and statutes. We, as a public school, and charters are included in this. Charters are public schools, but charters and traditional public schools, you know, legally have to provide services for all students. You know, someone had mentioned, you know, a right to public education. But I would say on that same note, it's important beyond this boardroom that parents advocate for services beyond the public school, so that children who have needs can get those needs. There's a deficiency in this state. It is a massive deficiency. I want to talk at a 10,000, 30,000 foot level because I don't want to go somewhere I shouldn't, but I think it's important because it came up more than once. I just think this state can do better. As a district, we heard you and we will do better. But as a state, we can do better. And so I would ask, beyond this location, beyond this board, advocate upstream as well, because there's a lot of work to be done so that the professionals can do what they're supposed to do within our district, and that's educate our children. So I would just ask that, please. So thank you. Got anything else for us?
Are we moving my board report now? My superintendent's report? I just have a couple of things. Are you guys done?
It's good there.
Okay.
I think we should move on.
Just a couple of things. So that we had announced the ribbon cutting for the sports complex. Just so the public knows, it's been moved to April 22nd. So it'll be at 9 a.m. That's a Saturday morning. So we will have softball and baseball games, district games. The kids will be practicing on it before that, but that'll be our big first game. So we invite everybody to come and see that. We would like to recommend to the board, the Edgewood Middle School and Moriarty Middle School will have a double header on the 27th. Is that correct? I didn't write it. Okay, April 27th. So we're going to play that at the new fields. And we are going to provide hot dogs and chips. And everybody that wants to come and see the kiddos play on the new field, we're excited to have it. So we want to celebrate that and celebrate the big rivalry with the EMS and MMS. So that'll be exciting on the 27th. The one other thing is we are moving forward with a Girls and Boys Club in both Edgewood and Moriarty. It's going to be K-8 through both in both communities. And our thinking is we definitely didn't want to compete with the guest program, but we did want to offer parents if they were bringing a middle schooler and they had a elementary age kid that they didn't have to go to two separate programs. So that was the deciding factor when investing with Boys and Girls Club. So we will do the K through 8. So that's very exciting, and we're moving forward with that.
When is that?
That will start on June 6th. Is that the date? June 6th, and run all week through the last week of July. So Monday through Friday, 7 a.m. to 6 p.m.
They offer a 10-week program. Mr. President, members of the board, they offer a 10-week program. However, due to our calendar, we have 8 weeks in summer, so they're going to give us the 8 weeks.
And I am going to bless you with calling it, that's it for my part. Short report tonight. I'm giving you a break. Yeah, exactly. No, it's just too long.
Well, with that, then, I guess we'll move on to Director of Learning Services. Section of
And you sent in the bilingual application and then, but you haven't heard back?
No, so actually, Ms. House, Mr. Armijo, Ms. House, I'm asking for approval of the application. There was a memo in your board report, a gift from the bilingual department, the public education department. They have drastically reduced the application, so much so that there's not an application. And it was about, because we are continuing program at Moriarty Elementary, Ms. Luce and her bilingual staff, teacher Olga Garibay, and she teaches, as I just kind of give you a little bit of information in the memo, we have 66 students that are in the bilingual program, which is a very high number. They are doing an outstanding job servicing those students. So the students in bilingual receive regular ELA core. They also receive Spanish ELA and intervention in both if needed. So we would like to continue the program, and because we are continuing the program and have met all of the requirements in a positive manner, we're allowed to just click 2 buttons saying that we would like to continue, and so that's what the application consists of this year.
Good. Cutting some of that paperwork, so. That's the only thing I've seen that they've cut, that the Fed has been bragging about, that they cut all our paperwork.
I'm excited to see the new applications.
Yeah, hopefully they'll all be that way. So if you don't have any further questions for Ms. Romero, I can't remember, why don't know anybody's last names tonight?
I do have one.
Okay.
I was just curious about the PED starting a new system. So is that going to be easy?
So, yes, Mr. President, members of the board, Ms. House, we are moving from what is called STARS reporting, where we report the 40, 80, 120, and the EOY. So that's when all of our data is, we export the data from PowerSchool and we send it up to, in template files like Excel sheets, up to the public education department system in something called STARS. That's where we get our counts from. They are doing away with that download, upload, export, all of that, and it will be just a continuous importing of our data straight from PowerSchool. It is already happening.
So once you just set it up, it just goes.
Yes.
You don't have to sit there.
So short answer, yes, ma'am. It's going to hopefully be a lot better once we learn it.
Yes, exactly. And just for the benefit of the audience, that's how we get our funding. So it's the count of how many students are in after-school programs, how many students are in bilingual, how many students are in special education, how many athletes we have. So all of that and all those numbers are what they put together to determine how much we get each year to run our district. So they're very important numbers, and it's going to be much easier because there's always errors when you download, you upload, you move it, all of those things. So
there's going to be a little bit of work that we're going to have to do, Mr. Viviano's staff and our staff, trying to get staff files into PowerSchool because we don't typically house them there. We house them in divisions, but we're going to get that done, and so we'll be ready to go at the start of the
we've only been asking for it for probably 10 years.
Any other questions? I'll just keep it short. I just wanted to acknowledge the School Health Advisory Council. Just, once again, thank you for the work on that council. I still think that it's exceeding my expectations. You know, at first it felt like it was, you know, obviously it was a requirement of the state, correct? And it felt like we were just going to start checking boxes so that we were in compliance. And I just love that it has grown beyond checking boxes and that we actually have, you know, the whole student, the health of the whole student and our staff. You know, that some of the hard work is beyond just checking boxes. So I just wanted to thank you for that with the shack. So.
Thank you. It's an honor to be able to do
All right.
Okay, Mr. President, members of the board, we would like to request that you, and I recommend that you approve the bilingual application.
All right, so the recommendation from Superintendent Salazar to approve the bilingual application. Any questions? There are no questions on the motion. And a second. So we've got a motion by Mr. Chadwick, second. Who was it? Oh, Wendy. Okay. Second. So all members in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion passes.
Thank you so much.
All right, moving on to consent agenda.
I would just like to, before I ask you to approve, I'd like to discuss the 4 purchase orders over $20,000, and I'm glad my SME parents have stuck with us because we actually have an SME item on here that we're excited about. The Cooperative Education Service PR 1948 is for the approval for an outdoor classroom area for South Mountain Elementary School. So it'll be a lot like the area that we have at MES that will be artificial turf along with tables and shade, and if the shade will be just for the little table that's there and part of it, so that classes can be out there, they can take time to be outside, inside, and so I'm very excited about that.
That's funded through art?
Yes, so that will be out of our art funds, the outdoor classroom. Number 2 on that, under purchase orders over $20,000, the Premier Wireless. I think that Mr. Bergman was so excited, he was near tears, that after 40 years, we're coming to the 21st century for a GPS bus system. So, do you want to share, Gary? I know you're very excited about this new program. All the things it's going to do for you.
This system, it's been kind of on my radar since I was hired a couple years ago, and it's going to update all of our GPS tracking for the buses. It will allow dispatch to see in real time where a bus is. It's also got a parent app and student tracking, so that when the student gets on the bus, they'll either swipe a card or the driver could just tap that the student is on. The parents can see that, which will eliminate a call to dispatch, hey, where's the bus?
Not that I was talking to you, but
it just does a lot of good things. Routing, navigation is a big thing because of our district with the lack of street signs a lot of places and everything. We're always subbing drivers on the buses, and when a substitute is on the bus, it's very difficult to know where to go when you can't see a street sign. You're trying to figure out the map. It's difficult. So this is going to alleviate a lot of problems, a lot of safety issues, and so it's just a really good thing. Thank you for considering it and bringing it to the table. Appreciate it.
The next item is a PR for Cooperative Education Services 1993. As you recall, last board meeting we submitted several projects, 6 projects actually, to the DOT to be worked on. This project was project number 3 in the priorities. The South Mountain flashing lights was number 1 priority. The ag parking lot and the bus ramp was number 2, and then this was number 3. This project, and we put them in that order because we knew that this one was going to have to be done regardless, and so we wanted the DOT to do the other projects. In visiting, Mr. Viviano and I visited with both the DOT as well as the company that we got bids from, and the DOT will not be awarding items until mid-May. To get on the summer list, to get it on the calendar so we can get the work done. He says, well, you know, if you get it to me, the PO in 5 days. I'm like, 5 days. So, so this project is on here. It's got to be done, you know, because that's where the most traffic and everything else is. We feel fairly confident that those other projects will be approved. We don't think, you know, there's just so much money to, you know, down the list. And depending on what the approval is, if they do approve part of this project or all this project, then we can adjust the PO. If we get the other ones, you know, but making sure we are on the list, and so they'll be here in June or July, and so it's done before school starts, because that's where the most traffic between student parking, visitor parking for sporting events, and all of those things are going on. So, and then the last item, the PACE audio service, is a cell phone booster, and I know that you are thinking, well, that's kind of counterintuitive, because I just saw an email go out from Mr. Adams that kids need to put their student cell phones up, right? It's kind of like keep them in their backpacks. But this is a safety issue. For some reason, and specifically in the administration building, in the main building at the high school, you cannot get cell phone service. It's kind of like it is, you can't, and it's high. So when there is an emergency, we are unable to get a hold of anyone. You know, they may not be at their desk because they're evacuating students or they're dealing with these things. It also is an issue with some of our police force, because their walkie-talkies, they don't call them that, radios, two-way radios do not work in the building. So if they have a cell phone that they can talk to, they can do it. We have in our, put a repeater so that our two-way radios in the school all work, but the officers don't. Moriarty is actually working on a system, and but it's the same issue with the Torrance County officers, as well as Edgewood officers and Santa Fe officers if they were in that facility. So this is a true safety concern, and it's really not about the kids being able to, we don't want them using their cell phones still in class, but we need to make sure that it is safe and that we can communicate with staff members, et cetera, when need be. And which would also, as a parent, if there was a concern, you could communicate with your kid because there would be service. So that's what that item is for. And that is also, we're looking at ARP because it's a safety issue, so that's where we're looking to pay for that. So if you, do you have any questions on any of the 4 of those items? So then,
I'll just interrupt. I had asked a question earlier on when I had seen this come through, if it was like vendor specific, you know, Verizon, AT&T. It's actually not like a repeater per se for each company. It literally is just it grabs a signal and then rebroadcasts it, you know, from outside to inside. So it's across
there is signal out there.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Good question.
And they actually came and measured and tested and were on top of the buildings at the different to see what had the strongest, you know, it may be an AT&T for this building, and it may be a Verizon tower from this building, so it is able to collect whatever the strongest signal is for that. So, Mr. Adams is not going to be able to ignore my text anymore saying that he didn't receive them. It's like, oh, sorry, Teresa, I didn't get them. Well, the second you walk out of those buildings, it's kind of like your phone blows up with all the calls and the text messages and all the stuff that you miss. So, Mr. President, members of the board, I recommend that you approve the consent agenda items 1 through 4.
ask Patty real quick, is that okay to do the 4 as well? We don't have to do those individually, we're good?
Yeah, they're all
okay.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure. All right.
Check.
Just checking.
Okay. He's thinking I'm slipping. That's why. Yeah.
All right, so we have a recommendation from Superintendent Salazar to approve consent agenda finance items 1 through 4. Are there any questions? If no questions, I'll do a motion.
I'll motion.
And we've got a second, so all members in favor say aye.
Aye.
So it's perfect. Anything for us, items B through E?
No, sir, just tracking legislation to see what it's gonna do for our budget right now.
We hate 60-day sessions because it's painful.
This has been.
Yeah, there are some good, there's a lot of changes, but there is some positive changes. The at-risk is increasing from a 0.30 to a 0.33. The concern that we had with procurement of instructional materials, since they've moved it to the main budget into the SEG, that's been corrected, so that saved Ms. Romero's life, because we were going to have to go out to bid on all the textbooks that we do. Let's see, the graduation requirements, looks like it's going to be moving. That's going to be a lot of work on the districts, all districts' parts to make that personal. It looks like it. So
we don't necessarily, from what I remember, we weren't going to necessarily have to make those changes within our district. Right?
That's correct. So we can still keep the 24. So how many do we have right now? 27? 26. We can keep a 7-period day and 26. The districts can make it the way that they want to make it, but the minimum is 22. And again, for the audience benefit, the reason a district would do that is because by cutting the number of credits and the number of classes during a day, it's going to limit the number of electives that kids have opportunities to. So we would have to cut programs. So we'd have to choose between JRTC, FFA, band, art, choir. So we would have to do some picking and choosing of that because kids can only take 6 periods a day, and if you're required to have 4 of them for graduation versus if you had a 7-period day. So we love being able to give our kids options that from anywhere from a kiddo that wants to go to the military afterwards, to go to fine arts stuff, to do an ag degree, any of those things, or a job in welding, we have those offerings. So we want to keep as many offerings as possible for our kiddos. So just a little side note.
And did we get confirmation on the health bill?
I looked through that, and I think that it was still the discussion of, are we going to, it passed, so that's bad for us, but did it stay, what we've done stays?
I didn't see language either.
See, I couldn't find the final language
I
of
was
that.
told it would be in there, but I just haven't got
See
confirmation.
it when I looked at the bill earlier, but.
The other way that it was so fair. And
There was 2 districts that didn't think it was fair, and somehow and little districts that probably don't service 50 kids total, and they got it changed. So I don't know
so
how
they're getting all the money.
I know you can raise hand.
And they're not going to share the money. Yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know really how that works.
I haven't talked to Mr. Chavis about this because I didn't want to, and I told you so.
What do you do with that?
I got that, I told you something.
So the 1.6 million that Mr. McCullough and Commissioner McCullough told us we were going to get, or not.
I don't know.
We don't know.
We may, because it may be any agreements from here forward. So we may have gotten in that window where, that was already agreed upon and things were signed. So we're hopeful that it's anything moving forward. So.
Maybe we could reach out to the governor's office and see if she could read to us.
Yeah.
All right. Moving on to personnel. Under personnel board report. Marino, members of the board, stand for any questions?
I noticed you have principal wish lists for 23-24. Did you restrict those wish lists?
I didn't hear about the wish list.
With President Armijo, Vice President House, that's language we've just used throughout the years, right? But it's worthy conversations.
Right.
Part of that is to have principals gather up with their staff members or gather up with, their stakeholders to come up with ideas about moving forward, yeah, but, it does get limited and depending on the session, sometimes it gets limited, but,
We've really never been able to do it because we're always having fun, so we're excited that there may be an opportunity. Yes, sir.
Are we still looking for an athletic trainer? We talked about it.
We talked about that, yes, sir,
And we were looking to it.
We, as soon as the budget's being developed and stuff, and we have money in the budget, and that's approved, then we'll look for it. Yeah, make sure there's money
But we
first.
seriously do.
It's on my board. It's on the whiteboard, so it's moving in the right direction.
That's on our wish list.
Yeah.
You'll say my wish list.
And, but she's like weird about that. She always wants us to have money before we like start out. I don't know what's wrong with it.
Any other questions? Mr. Young?
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on to support services, special projects, and other items.
Does anybody have any transportation questions for Mr. Berkman? Yeah, he's a happy camper today.
I am.
Except is there going to be weather? Are we going to have to get up and call it?
No,
Okay.
no.
Okay.
I call it no.
No, he's saying no weather tonight, so. Then let's move on to per capita feeder programs. If you'll recall, this is, there is times that we provide parents mileage that for situations that bus transportation can't work out, or it may be a student that qualifies for, and one of our, if we have two students, right? One of us is it just one? Two. Both of these students this year are McKinney-Vento students, so they are qualify and underneath the homeless, which again, we talked about, that can be people that are multiple families living in a household, etc. And so we do have two students that qualify for the reimbursement for McKinney-Vento to get to their home school. So this is a request from Ms. England. And so I recommend that you approve the per capita feeder program for our two students.
All right, so we have a recommendation from Superintendent Salazar to approve the per capita feeder program for the two students. Any questions? If there are no questions, I'll need a motion. So moved. And second. A motion and second. All members in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes. Thank you. All right. Any other questions for tech, maintenance, or food service?
I was wondering on the tech report if Ms. Armijo would want to talk about the app program that writes for you.
The chat
GTP.
You had some training, or you held a training for that.
I'm sorry, what is it called? The GP?
Chat GTP.
Chat GPT. Our artificial intelligence is going to do kids' homework from now on. That's what it
Okay,
is.
so I was like, was there something about that on the report? There wasn't.
No, there wasn't, but I saw.
Okay.
You sent an email out, ready to read about training.
So I was excited about the email.
Yes.
Like one of the board members are.
I saw that, yeah. President Armijo, Superintendent Salazar, members of the board, I did send out an email on Monday. There is a lot happening right now. Well, it has been happening for a while. In November, Chat GPT was launched, which is a very powerful artificial intelligence chat bot that really it's just the beginning of so many more to come. There's just yesterday a new version, GPT-4 was launched, and it's being used now in these bots, and there's even bigger, more powerful ones waiting in the wings. And so the email was in regard to how it is imperative that we start to look at how artificial intelligence is going to impact
and what the implications are in education. And so that's just an attempt to try to get some of the conversation started. So far, like I'm talking about it every day, so if you're like talking to me, that conversation's happening. But as far as within the district, we've had a couple of teachers raise concerns about it being used for cheating, and beyond that, that's about it. But there is so much more to this, and it is a conversation that we do need to start having, and we'll probably, quite honestly, need to start looking at possibly even policies around the use of artificial intelligence. I need you to know that I am not a proponent of banning it, as some districts are doing. I feel like that's a very dangerous thing to do because this is the world we live in now, and we need to make sure that our educators are that the adults in the district have the media literacy to understand what it is, how it works, the good, the bad, and the ugly that can come from it. But I also strongly believe that we need to start training our students on it and how it can be used responsibly and ethically, and how it should not be used for evil, because it can be, and how to recognize when other people are using it for unethical reasons and things like that. So it's just that's an attempt to kind of get the conversation started, and there's some exciting things. I know Ms. Kelton.
Rob's like, board report!
Seriously, I met with Ms. Kelton today, and she started started experimenting with some things today. It really is going to be, there's a quote from an interview that happened on 60 Minutes in 2019 with Kai-Fu Lee, who is a computer scientist researcher. He's sometimes referred to as the oracle of AI. He's written many books, knows a lot about it, and he is quoted in that interview saying that AI is going to be the biggest change to occur throughout the history of mankind, including electricity. This is even bigger. It's going to turn everything. And so, is that going to impact what we do here in our work? Absolutely. And does it maybe need to change how we teach and what we teach and all of those things? In my humble opinion, absolutely. And so, yeah.
Interesting, thank you. Well, I think that was one of the, I just started watching the video, the little, that you sent everybody. I didn't get clear through it, but, it's just really about it's probably one of the scariest, most exciting things happening and going on. But the thing that I'm very proud of our district is when you have other people from other districts coming in, they are shocked and amazed at educators get very frustrated because their district shuts everything down. The kids can't do anything. They can't experience anything. They can't, the teacher can't use what's out there to educate kids. But what we do is educate the staff on how to use that safely and give more freedom. And it's kind of like until there's something that's used incorrectly, we give kids and staff the ability to use that. So I think that's exactly where Chris is going, is we need to teach these, people that are going to be going out in the world, they'll be using it every day in their jobs. It's kind of like how to use it responsibly, professionally. And so, it's scary, but it's kind of exciting. And, we all saw during the pandemic, who everybody was essential? All of the educators. They're not replacing us. They've got to have live people. So, it's exciting. But, some of the stuff they talked about is and they talk about, cheating and stuff. You can tell by voice. You're not going to have a 10th grader writing paper that sounds like a professional writing a paper on amoebas or whatever the paper may be. You're going to be able to tell what's a kid's voice versus an AI situation. So,
but then there are opportunities for students to learn from the AI, and they can improve their writing to those points, because there's just so many. I mean, we can sit down and have a whole conversation sometime, Elizabeth.
I know we need to do that again. I was gonna say, I think that Chris and Charles probably nerd each other out and they say it all the time.
That might be interesting.
That might be interesting, while they're petting their doggies, so.
So,
Thank you.
this sort of makes me think, tech committee, we haven't had that in a while.
No, you're right. Do we have it on Zoom? I think that got eaten up with COVID.
It may have, but I.
Mr. Superintendent to be, put that on your list of things you need to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely important.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm busy every Tuesday night. We'll put it on our list. We definitely, I've forgotten all about that.
I've just been thinking about it.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
actually, when we come out of the last retreat, I thought maybe that.
Oh, yeah.
Was
We didn't talk about that, that's not all the goals.
Well, it was sort of embedded.
Oh, okay. Okay, we'll put that on the list. I can be a little saucy because I'm retiring in, so I give them a hard time about it. Not to, but just one thing about food services that I'm excited about, our district has been 100% free across our district. Is this the first or second year?
This is the first year out of the COVID federal.
So, but what we're excited about is with the state legislation changing that looks like it's passed, is that we will get funded more. And so it will be across the board. There won't be the, can we do it, can we not afford it? And so it'll be 100% free for all students. And then really with the looking at New Mexico grown farmers, really pushing the fresh fruit and vegetables. We started this year purchasing beef from our local ranchers and doing that. So actually, from scratch, more and more of that. The things that we're going to be looking at is, and we are currently doing work on, is making sure that we have the equipment in the kitchens. That we, how much staff would that, to increase, because it takes manpower to cut and chop and prep and all of those things. So, this is one of the things that was a huge priority to me when I came into my superintendency, and wellness of the whole child, and so, and we kind of got sidetracked with COVID, and it was just trying to keep everybody healthy. So I'm thrilled that this is moving forward, and I'm excited to see what the team is going to be doing there for that. So that's exciting with food services.
Any other questions? If there are none, we have nothing on the board policy.
I do have something for board policy. I just wanted to comment, and we can hash it out later at a later date, maybe coming on the agenda at a later date, but I'd like to see the board create a policy that supports our students to think and form their own opinions, and not just adopt a teacher viewpoint. And maybe something that we think about over the next couple of months, or we put together over the summer at the board retreat together, or something like that. But I would really like to try to start really supporting these students to think for themselves and form their own opinions, and they don't walk out of the classroom with somebody else's opinion because they thought that adult was. So, anyways, yeah.
I'm definitely look at that.
Okay.
And then, any other things? I think we'll move on to advanced planning.
So just to put on your calendar, and when do we have to have the date by? There's the Region 4 meeting that we have. It's April 12th. I'll be in Las Vegas. It usually starts at 5 or 5:30. Yes, 5:30. 5:30 to 8:30. So if you will look at your calendars and let Miss Patty know by.
We don't have that information yet.
Okay.
Los Angeles is supposed to be reaching out to us for registration and deadlines and all of that, those details, but we haven't gotten that yet.
No. So, and they have a new little interim superintendent that's filling in, so I'm sure she has a lot on her plate, and so, but we will be getting something.
And we'll probably, once we do find out, we're probably gonna need an answer very quickly because it is April 12th, and we're almost to April now. So as soon as we do get those details, we'll be reaching out to you to get your RSVP if you'll be attending or not.
And then also, just to give you a heads up, you probably received the emails from Joe Ian about the MSBA student scholarship. I have gotten that to the high school counselor. We are having them submit that, I believe it's the Monday, is it the 31st? So the 31st, we'll be submitting those applications to us. I will be sending those applications out to you and with a Google Doc for you to vote because we won't have another meeting, so there'll be an individual private vote of which one of those candidates because we get to send one person from the district, and so you can do that private vote based on that information. So I'll be sending that out to you that first week of April, so we can meet the deadline of April 14th. We couldn't really figure out a better way to do it since we won't have another board meeting and to give the students an opportunity with spring break and stuff coming up. So.
All right. Anything else for advanced planning?
Contract for the new superintendent?
April.
Yes.
All right. Well, if there's nothing else.
Yeah, get that signature.
Yeah.
The agency's fine.
Right. So, I'm really glad, so like during my welcome, I was gonna say, oh, it's a really light agenda, should go pretty quick, you know, but
There's a lot of good stuff.
it was. It's good. All right, so adjournment, do you have a
Yes.
recommendation?
Mr. President, members of the board, I recommend that we adjourn.
So the recommendation from Superintendent Salazar for adjournment. Have a motion? And a second? Second. So we got a motion and a second. All members in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes. This meeting is adjourned. Thank you all very much.